Hey, I'm Rob Gantt with the Goose Creek Gazette and the Berkeley Independent. I'm here today with my teammate Roger Lee of the Somerville Journal scene. We're together. It's another season of football talk. Football season is here. We finally made it. Better late than never.
Yep.
Are you excited to be here?
I'm excited that there is a football season. You know, we're so long putting it off, and I'm glad to be here, Rob.
Definitely. Special thanks to our sponsor, Tony Pope State Farm. Call Tony Pope State Farm for your car, home life, and small business insurance. Look, I'm looking at the list of games, and the one that jumps off to me is definitely Goose Creek, riding over to Berkeley. Moncks Corner is definitely a football town. They'll be excited for a game. The Gators actually knocked Berkeley off its pedestal last year. The Gators won the region championship. Berkeley had won 3 in a row. So, like I said, when I look at the list of games, that's the one that jumps off to me. Just real quick, what's your take on Goose Creek Berkeley? Should be a good football game?
I think it's going to be a fabulous football game. Two good programs. You're right. Goose Creek has some momentum, big wins over Berkeley last year and over Somerville in the playoffs. But, don't rule out the Stags. They got a good program.
That's right. When you look at David Shelton's Low Country poll, number 2 on that list was Goose Creek, and number 3 was Berkeley. Number 1 was your Fort Dorchester Patriots. They're always right up near the top every year. So, I look at this game and looking at it from the Goose Creek perspective, there's a lot of energy surrounding the program. You have a lot of weapons back. You have a lot of good defenders back for Goose Creek. I'm expecting big things, and breaking this game down on Friday, you look, like I said, the Gators have Malachi Taylor back at one receiver. He's going to Coastal Carolina. You have a pretty good offensive line in front of him. Three starters are back. You have Kion Smith as a returning receiver back. You also have a couple of additions that are going to make some noise in the receiving core. And Demetri Simmons is a running back returning with some experience. And so, looking at the Gators, they will be able to spread you out from left to right and make you pick your poison because they've got such a great receiving core. And Demetri Simmons is a guy that give him a crease, he can take it a long way too. Berkeley is a proud program, and I know that they will be excited for this game on Friday simply because Goose Creek, beat them last year. And you talked to Randy Robinson about that. Randy Robinson said, look, it was clear as day when we went to Goose Creek last year, the hungrier football team was the Goose Creek Gators. And, Goose Creek was able to get it done, went on to win the region. And so, Coach Robinson's like, hey, it's been pretty easy coaching from behind because, you can just play that up to your team, get them fired up. Breaking down Berkeley a little bit, personnel-wise, Trey Minor will be the quarterback. He's a new quarterback, but he did start a couple of games last year when the starter was out. And in both of those games, he threw for over 300 yards. One of them was against one of your teams, Ashley Ridge. He came over to Somerville and torched them. A name to watch, a name to know on offense for Berkeley is Solomon Butler. He's a receiver. He's going to Coastal Carolina. Very good receiver, very physical kid. If he makes a grab and he gets going downfield, you better bring your A game trying to tackle him because he's going to run over you or he can sidestep you. A couple other names there for Berkeley. Kicker Roy Brown is back. Coach Robinson said he's been working really hard to try to improve. So if it comes down to a kick, maybe you feel good about that young man. In the secondary, you've got a guy named Miles Walker, pretty good corner, likes to get after you. It'll be interesting to see him match up with really any one of 3 good Gator receivers. And on the defensive front, you have a guy named Jaden Broughton that's been there for a while. He's a very nice player. Another game involving one of my teams in Berkeley County is Stratford, the Knights. You graduated from there, right?
I did.
You pull for them a little bit?
I pull for them as much as anybody.
Well, I bet you on Friday night you won't be. Anyway, the Stratford Knights, they load up the buses. They go over to Somerville High School. I don't know a whole lot about Somerville. I'll tell you about Stratford real quick. Stratford, what I know about them is they have I think they're flying under the radar a little bit. I don't know that everybody's giving them the credit that they deserve. When you consider they return a quarterback, Josh Davis. He's a Clemson baseball commit. He actually threw for over 2,000 yards last year. At receiver, you got Demarius Anderson, big, strong kid, can run like the wind. He's committed to Eastern Michigan. You also have another guy named David Washington. He's a great receiver. And running back, Jaden Austin. He's a sophomore, but he plays like an older kid. I know this past summer he was on, I'm probably not going to get this exactly right, but he played for a USA football junior team that might have been to Texas, could have been another country. But anyway, that team went on to win that championship wherever they were. And Jaden Austin is, like I said, another good running back. And not to forget, their offensive lineman, Thomas Blackman, great high school lineman for the Knights. So they're going to kind of build around those guys on offense. And defensively, you got Mason Lord on the second level. He's a linebacker. Seems like he's been there forever. Very talented kid, gets after it. He had over 100 tackles last year. And a couple of young guys in the secondary had some interceptions. So, I think Stratford's going to have a chance to be a really solid football team that could be better than people think. And I think Denny McDaniel is a really good coach. I've taken up so much time talking about Stratford, but I want to know about Somerville now. So tell me something about Somerville, and I know you've got some games in your area too, so then kind of just roll into those and tell us about those.
Okay. I will, though, agree with you a little bit. I do think Stratford is poised for a strong season. Denny has done a good job there, and I think they're definitely going to catch some teams off guard. Whether they'll do that to Somerville, I'm not sure. Somerville has their quarterback back, Colby Shirey. Back for his second year. They have 3 seniors on the offensive line that should make them pretty strong there. Still looking for a couple of young guys to fill in those other lineman spots, but they've got good size from some young linemen. They're skill players. Some of them are a little bit untested, but they've got talent. I think that that offense is probably going to be okay against Stratford. I think Shirey is going to kind of take control in the huddle. Been told he's doing a good job with that, and maybe kind of help some of the younger running backs who haven't got a lot of playing time at the varsity level. Help put them in good positions to make sure they're hitting the holes they need to hit and whatnot. One thing that they're really excited about at Somerville is a freshman receiver. They've got a couple of receivers back who did play last year, who are definitely going to get some playing time this year. They're going to get their touches. But freshman Kamari Hare, I'm told he's the real deal, Rob. I'm told this is a name you're going to see a lot the next 4 years and probably beyond that. So we'll see.
I've got a freshman in Berkeley County that's the real deal too. I'll tell you about him later.
All right. Also, of course, this is the first year for Somerville under new head coach Ian Rafferty. He was offensive coordinator for Dorchester. He's there. He brought a couple of. He brought the quarterbacks coach with him from Fort Dorchester, but they still have a good base of coaches who were there last year. Kind of excited about getting things going, under a new head coach. The defense has. They feel really good about the defense this year at Somerville. Nick Chambers leads a line of linebackers that just has a lot of promise. They're experienced. They're deep. They have good experience on the defensive line. They have a D1 lineman up there who's definitely going to sign with somebody. And then their defensive backs are going to be a strength this year. They were a little bit worried about that coming into the season, but Rafferty is really pleased with what he saw as the defensive back position.
Well, is that due to transfers or kids they didn't know what's
a little bit of both. They've got a transfer from Cane Bay who was Cane Bay's quarterback last year, Xavier Mitchell Brown.
Very talented kid.
Very talented kid. If you went and saw any Somerville or Fort play Cane Bay last year, you know this guy. He's the one who was running all over the place. Just a good sized kid. Told is happy to be playing defense, and he's got a couple of guys back there who also show potential at the cornerback and safety positions. Some of them have transferred. They got a transfer from New York, a transfer from Florida, but they also have some young guys coming up and some guys who were playing different positions last year and who were maybe backups last year who seem to be doing really good. So just overall. The challenge for Somerville against Stratford is going to be, winning the battle up front on offense, I think that's it. I think if they can do that, then Somerville will be okay. Let me move on to why don't you talk about that game a little more? You know, want to make a prediction for us or anything?
Put me on the spot here. Speaking of predictions, I didn't say this earlier, but I'm taking the Gators to beat the Stags. Should be a heck of a football game. Now, this one you talked about Stratford and Somerville. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I really do believe the game is going to be won right there in the trenches. If whichever team can bully the other one will win the football game. I do think it has the potential to be a very good game. I'm having to pick a winner here. Denny, guys, use this as motivation. I think I'm going to take the Somerville Green Wave.
I'm going to go with the Green Wave, and I just can't have trouble going with a team that's the Gators, and so I'm going to go with the Stags. Just don't like Gators,
This is
man.
the guy thinks he knows what he's talking about. No, it should be a heck of a game. Okay, all right. So what else you got going on?
Okay, also big game for people here in Dorchester County. Ashley Ridge is hosting Fort Dorchester for both teams' season opener. Before I say anything else, I want to this year Ashley Ridge lost a player. He was competing for a lineman spot, probably going to be a defensive lineman. Mari President. They're honoring him all season. The little vote stickers you see people have. Well, one of the coaches out there came up with the idea that why don't we use a sticker like that, and they've changed the vote to LLAP, which is Long Live Amari President. Just a solid kid. I've heard nothing but good things about him. Our thoughts go out to that family.
Definitely, and I hope the kids, for Ashley Ridge, I hope when they suit up for practice and they suit up for games every Friday, they put that young man in their hearts and play hard for him.
So anyway, keep on talking about Ashley Ridge. Ashley Ridge has a new head coach. Shane Vidler is in there to lead the Swamp Foxes. Came to the Somerville area from Waccamaw, but also coached in Colleton County. So it's going to be quite a test going up against the Patriots in their first game.
Yeah, definitely.
They'll have a new quarterback. But they do have the area's leading returning rusher, and Troy Grant. He's just one of those players. When he gets the ball, he might break it every time. Not a big back, but definitely has speed and definitely had his share of success last year. They have two returning starters on the offensive line. They're skills players. They've kind of got a bunch of guys competing for the receiver spots and to split time at running back. And that's a combination, kind of like Somerville, a combination of some guys who played a little bit last year and some new guys coming up from the JV. On defense, they have TJ Smith is Ashley Ridge's leading tackler back. They're expecting the linebackers to be a strength on that side of the ball, and they're also comfortable with their defensive back. There's a lot of talent between those two groups. But here comes the Patriots. Only lost one game last year in the third round of the playoffs. Fort Dorchester has three returning stars on the offensive line. Quarterback Zoltan Osborne is back. Running back Dwayne Wright is a huge running back. You don't see too many running backs in high school ball his size. He's really like a fullback size, but he's tall and just a great threat out of the backfield. So I think they're going to be pretty good on offense. The Fort defense has a lot of kids back. LaPrade tells me that he's as strong at linebacker as ever, which is saying something because they've had some D1 guys at linebackers in the last few years. They lost some D1 guys off the defensive line last year, but they're happy with what they're seeing there. They say that they're pretty stout on the defensive line, and they have two very promising defensive backs, Jalen Levine and safety Khalid Gadsden. Are both studs back there. You're not gonna get to that third tier of the Patriots defense easily. You're not gonna burn them too easily. So I just think Fort Dorchester is gonna start right where it left off last year. They're gonna come in there high energy. They do have a new offensive coordinator, which was the defensive coordinator last year, Brent LaPrade, Coach LaPrade's son. And then Bobby Floyd is taking over as defensive coordinator. He's been there for years, so the defense I don't think is going to miss a beat because they've changed coordinators. Because he worked right there with Brent so long. It'll be interesting to see what their offense looks like with a new coordinator, and knowing that their old coordinators at Somerville, I'm sure they're switching things up a lot. That'll be fun to watch, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fort Dorchester will still be a very good football team. You know, you do lose some coaches and stuff gets shuffled around, and you miss some, some pieces move on to college. It's definitely interesting to see if they can kind of keep that going, just keep doing to people what they've been doing.
Yeah.
All right, what else?
We also have Pinewood. I went and saw them last week. The Skeeza teams got a little bit of an earlier start than the high school league. They lost a tight one to Porter-Gaud last week. This week they have John Paul II. I believe that's in the Ridgeland area, isn't it, Rob?
Definitely, it's out near Bedford.
Okay. I don't know much about that team, but I know that the Panthers seem to me to be poised to get that win they've been looking for so long. They had a winless season last year, and that's not setting well for the football players there. They're hungry, and I think there's a great atmosphere out there right now. Everything I saw Friday night was good. I mean, really some turnovers cost them that game. They probably have Porter-Gaud, right? They played Porter-Gaud, and Porter-Gaud beat them, I think, by like 4 points. I think they're just young in a lot of spots, and when they kind of mature a little bit, they might show us something at the end of the season. So hopefully they can go down to Ridgeland and get their first win of the year.
All right. So what else you got? That it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're gonna pick a winner. You take a Pinewood, taking Fort Dorchester, I guess.
I'm gonna take Fort Dorchester, but I think Ashley Ridge might surprise some people. Considering it's first year head coach and what a year they had last year, and they ended the year on a loss to Stall. I think they're gonna show up good. I think they'll be a little bit better, an improved team. But I'm going to take Fort Dorchester just because, how do you pick against Fort Dorchester right now?
You don't. Not in this game. Coach Fiddler is a great coach, Ashley Ridge, and I think he'll be fine there. But Fort's going to roll them. And I'm pretty sure Pinewood Prep's going to win too.
I'm looking for Pinewood Prep to take it, yes.
Okay, so we're done with you?
I'm done, man.
Done with you. I love how I just run things together. Okay, moving on real quick. Cane Bay in a Region 7 game travels over to Wando. The Cobras, they were 5-6 a year ago, made the playoffs. It's kind of one of the teams I don't have a great read on just yet because, as you mentioned earlier, they lost what would have probably been their quarterback to Somerville. But I do know the Cobras bring back a couple of all-region guys. Running back Leon Staley, I think he's going to be their version of George Rogers and Herschel Walker and guys they're going to try to feed him a lot. And he's a good running back. And Malachi Jones is an offensive lineman for the Cobras. A couple of guys they can build around there. Coach Russell Zara says they have some young talent. He feels comfortable about the team and the team's potential, but you have to put it together. Defensively, Devin London is a returning starter in the secondary for the Cobras. They don't have a whole lot back on that side of the ball as far as experience. But he does, again, Zara told me he likes the defensive front, how big and physical they are, and believes they'll be a pretty good unit. Cane Bay at Wando last year. Wando put it on them 42-0. I don't know. I really don't know a whole lot about Wando this year yet. But I mean, I do think that's going to be a pretty competitive football game. Even though Wando rolled them last year, I think Cane Bay is going to be okay. I mean, I trust that coaching staff. Very, very competent, very capable. They'll have the team ready. Another team I want to talk about, Skeeza. You mentioned Skeeza got an early start. This team right here, they're going to cause their coach to have a heart attack. St. John's Christian, it seems like to me they want to get into a 4-quarter battle and wiggle off the hook at the very end, like every week. The Cavaliers are off to a 4-0 start. They're coming off a 26-20 win over Bethesda Academy. Cane Bay was down by 6. Not Cane Bay. St. John's Christian was down by 6 with 1:20 left. Bethesda goes for a field goal. Jonathan Berrien gets a big old paw up, knocks it down. Nick Jimenez, a receiver, who's also playing on special teams, scoops it up, runs down the field, shakes a couple of guys off, scores a touchdown. They try the extra point. It's no good, 2020. Well, Coach Klontz, the new coach at St. John's Christian, he calls on Casey Bostic, a big offensive lineman, who's really not the regular kicker, but he specializes in sky kicks. And so he hits just a Phil Mickelson flop shot that just hits around the sideline, does a little spinneroonie, and stops right on the sideline before it goes out of bounds. Bethesda kick returner didn't get on the ball. Corey Moreau hustling down for the Cavaliers, ends up diving for it and ends up being kicked, and St. John's Christian gets on it. They drive down the field, 1 second left. They have it at the 1 yard line. Ryan Booker, who's had a hand in 13 touchdowns this year for the Cavaliers. He's their stellar quarterback. He goes straight ahead. St. John's Christian wins the game. And they've been doing that all year. Buford Academy, they wiggled off the hook. They were down by a couple points in the fourth quarter, scored twice to win that one. And then a week later, they played Dillon Christian when they were on the hook. And they did like a Houdini type thing against Dillon Christian. So that's the team of destiny, I think. I mean, at some point, you got to stop playing with fire. You're going to get burnt. But for right now, they're doing a good job with it. Like I said, their new coach is Brandon Klontz. He was the defensive coordinator last year. A couple other players to mention there for St. John's Christian. Jaden Bradley is a linebacker, defensive back for the Cavaliers. He leads the team in tackles. Another name I want to mention here, actually a former soccer guy at Stratford, Malik Waheed. He's a linebacker, defensive back type. He's playing some on offense, scored a touchdown to help him ice the game earlier in the year. Also picked up a fumble and returned it for a touchdown in the Dillon Christian game to help him win that game. St. John's Christian, if I didn't mention, because I'm waxing poetic here, they host Greenwood Christian on Friday. Should be a great atmosphere for a game. Another team out that way, Cross, the Trojans. Coach Sean Wright, probably one of the best fishermen in all the world, by the way. If you need some fish, call him because he's never without dozens. They travel over to Military Magnet on Friday to play in that new Taj Mahal of a stadium in North Charleston, kind of off of 526. That's a great looking building. Cross is really heading in the right direction. 2 years ago they didn't win a game. Last year they went to the third round of the playoffs. They got practically everybody back. And Coach Wright and those guys out there are an excellent coaching staff, and they're about to put it on Military Magnet for sure. I would be surprised if Cross didn't win that pretty big and break in that new stadium over there in a big way for the Trojans. Another big name out that way, another great fisherman is a guy named Art Craig. I'm serious. Art Craig and Sean Wright, get them together. They don't leave a whole lot for the rest of us. Okay? Put it that way.
I had no idea they were so talented.
Oh my God, they are. Well, anyway, so Art Craig is, he's taking the new challenge at Hanahan High School. Left Timberland after 19 very successful seasons, has over 200 career wins, has a couple state championships. He's taken over Hanahan, which won just one game last year. And earlier I mentioned that there was a talented freshman in Berkeley County to keep an eyeball on. And it's for the Hanahan Hawks, a guy named Kevon Rivera. He's a running back. He might even play some on defense too. I saw him in a scrimmage against Stratford, and he looked like an older guy. Like I was like, who is that? That's just a freshman, and he's just keep an eyeball out on the stat sheet. If they feed him a bunch against North Charleston, don't be surprised if he runs for 200 and something yards. A couple other guys back for them. Another really talented running back, a guy named Josh Shaw. He'll put up some big numbers on Friday against, that game is on Saturday. It's at the Taj Mahal of the stadium off of 526 that Cross is going to play on Friday. Hanahan and North Charleston are playing on Saturday night. I don't know the start time on that. I'm going to say 7, but I could be off on that, so check. Quarterback is back for Hanahan. His name is Jonathan Shelton. I saw him in scrimmages. He looked pretty nice. He started the second half of the year last year, made some great strides, really helped that offense get better. That's it for everybody who's playing. Off this week is Timberland. Timberland had an opponent lined up. I think it was Ainer. I don't know exactly what happened, but the game fell through. Northwood, which has already played a couple of games, is off this week. They play Spartanburg Christian next week. So, I mean, that's pretty much all of it, Roger. I'll say in closing a couple things. First of all, if you did not see our football editions, Berkeley Independent, that's Berkeley on the front right there. Goose Creek Gazette. This is the Gators. This is your defending Region 7 champions. And in Somerville Journal Scene, you have the Green Wave out front. So any one of our 3 football editions, you can get everything you want: schedules, team previews, profiles. We put a lot of work into it. We feel like it's a good product. Please, by all means, pick it up, take a look at it. Hopefully you like it. Another thing too, our Player of the Week, we're gonna have it again this year. We do it every year. It's very successful. A lot of people vote. You get an opportunity to win something. Basically, what we do is we take the highlight, the players that 5 or 6 players that did a really nice job on Friday. We nominate them for Player of the Week. You, as a fan, you vote. I think you have from Wednesday the following week to like Thursday or Friday, and you pick a winner. Then your name's entered into a drawing, and you can win a prize. I think I got one more thing to add, and that is a special thanks to our sponsor, Tony Pope State Farm. Call Tony Pope State Farm for your car, home, life, and small business insurance. See y'all next week.